This is 7-5 Radio with Walter Yerkew and Peter Scoop Stanton. This is the radio show that will break your neck, if your neck needs breaking. And here are the hosts of 7-5 Radio, Walter Yerkew, star of the biggest documentary movie ever made, The 7-5, and Peter Scoop Stanton, who starred in To Catch a Predator.
How many more times treat me the way you want to?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one and all. This is Peter Scoop Stanton with Mike Rakebrandt. Walter is feeling a little bit under the weather. We are red hot and rolling this Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. Mike, how are we doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, brother. Glad to be here again. Looking forward to tonight.
Yep, and we have a jam-packed show. Special shout-out to our special listeners, Little Billy Keebler and the men and alleged woman of the Yanadasas, New York Fire Department. Also, special shout-out to all of our fans in the New York 2nd District, including Diane Lewis, Brenda Alvarez, and one Shannon Stevens. I didn't know she was a fan. How about that, Mike?
She loved it. She had a great time with us. She likes the show. She likes what you guys are about. She likes the honesty of it, really. So she's very integrity-driven, so I think the fact that we're so honest and it's so raw, so real, that's what appeals to her, probably most people.
Right. But we'll talk about that just a little bit later. As always, we want to remember the men and women of the law enforcement community who were murdered in the line of duty. Fortunately, tonight we have no names to read off. Stay safe, one and all. Now, last week, we had a hell of a show celebrating St. Patrick's Day. I, of course, was at the party of one, Luciano De La Torre, as well as 7-5 Radio spokesmodel, Danila Rodrigues. But I made it an effort to have all 5 family members on the radio, and we did it. And first, Heather kicked it off, talk about Fannie Willis, and to be honest, the first 5 minutes we could have called the show. All right, thanks, Heather. Hell of a show. See you next week, everybody. But we carried on. And Mike, what was funny is that you and Heather never were on the show together, but it seemed like both of you there were part of the show forever. Also, same thing with Danila. I don't think you and Danila spoke on the July 1st show when she made her initial appearance, not even as a member of the 7-5 Radio family, and she knocked it out of the park. Walter knocked it out of the park. You knocked it out of the park, and I was, proficient. To me, it wasn't my best performance or effort because I was having such a good time at the party. I almost forgot as 10 o'clock was rolling around. And then Walter, his joke, Heather's analysis of Fannie Willis, and, of course, your contributions, except for the Shamrock gag, was just off the chain. And then, once again, our 7-5 Radio spokesman, Danila, just surprised the hell out of me talking about how special my former wife is, and also keep mentioning the green nipples. Thanks a lot, Danila. Mike, what was your take on the show last week?
That was awesome. It was such a good time. It was so fun. It was a great show. Heather is brilliant. Her analysis was amazing. And then Walt 9/11, thing was just, that was really for me, that was the highlight. It really was.
That was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago was Walt 9/11. 9/11 worked.
Yep.
Last week it was Scoop Stanton's green nipples.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago for Walt's thing. Yeah, but it was still in my mind, though. Actually, I've been thinking about that, though. He really nailed it. He really did. But it was great. I loved it. I loved having everybody on. It was nice to be able to actually talk to everybody.
Right. And what's funny about our show is that other than a couple of articles I had prepared during the week, we had nothing prepared. I said, all right, well, talk about Fannie Willis. Heather and Walter knocked it out of the park. We'll talk about Women's History Month, the Women's International Women's Day, and Danila just knocked it out of the park, and we kept it moving with St. Patrick's, and then bumbling along to the the black patches of the New York City Transit Police, which you and Walter knocked out of the park, and then we just had a little recap of 6 years on the radio. But I mean, that's what we do week in, week out. Nothing's scripted, but we try to plan things out. What you hear is honest to goodness radio. Now, speaking of which, of radio, I won't say honest to goodness, the Daily Wire, they've made news again, not in a good way. Daily Wire parted company with one Candace Owens. Now, Ms. Owens and the Daily Wire co-founder and I guess the flagship talent, Ben Shapiro, have been going back and forth concerning the conflict in Israel and the Gaza Strip. And, of course, you got two people who know what they're talking about, so they're shooting facts back and forth. But since the Daily Wire is co-founded and under the watchful eye of Ben Shapiro, you unless you're 100% pro-Israel, put Israel above everything else, you can't be a part of the Daily Wire. So Ms. Owens was given her walking papers because she simply stated her opinion. And that's the difference between us and the Daily Wire. You could have the most cockamamie opinion, idea about something, but if you back it up with facts, then guess what? So be it. Mike, you and Walter can come on week after week after week saying I'm like the worst radio host in the history of radio. I'm some garbage, this, that, and the other thing, and you provide examples. Okay, we'll go back and forth, but not on the Daily Wire. You got to toe the line. That's why I love doing 7.5 Radio on Liberty News Radio Network, because we get to say what we want to say, except for the 7:30 words you're not allowed to say on television. But as usual, Charlie Duff violates that rule. You can't be slanderous. You can't be liable. You can't lie against somebody, and you better not suck. So that's about it. So, anyways, Candace Owens, she was given her walking papers, and everybody's supporting her. And what kills me is that Candace has a thing on her Twitter account, one of her tweets, saying you can go to a website to donate to Candace Owens. I'm like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Ms. Owens is worth approximately $5 million. She was receiving millions of dollars a year in a contract, and her husband is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So you have people that can't afford to put gasoline in the car, can barely feed their kids, can barely keep the lights on, working 2 jobs, depleting their savings, depleting their retirement, and to give money to Candace Owens. I think that's really, really shameful. She's done that, and I lost a lot of respect for her. Mike, what's your opinion of the Daily Wire and Candace Owens giving her walking papers?
It's perfect. It perfectly shows what this country is right now, right? You have these. It's exactly what the establishment media does, right? You don't toe the line at the media network, whichever media network you want. Take your pick, Fox, any of them, doesn't matter, and you're gone, right? You don't get on board with the talking points, you're gone. Daily Wire, you shouldn't get on board with his talking points, and she's gone. But now here's somebody who's a multimillionaire, who's not even going to remotely feel the pinch that the inflation that's destroying the middle class right now in this country. And she's got a donate button on her website because, heaven forbid, she should go without making $2 more million this year. They're so out of touch, so out of touch with anything even remotely real. They had an intellectual dispute, for lack of a better word, and this is where it ends. Like, it's insanity.
Right.
It's insanity. It blows my mind.
Right, and that's the big difference between us and them. Number one, we all love each other to death, and
Yes.
that's why we call each other family. Same thing with the political cesspool. And Mike, when you came on, you're the newest member to come on. It's like you've been here forever. That's number one. Number two, we don't have any money, obviously, and those who support 7.5 Radio, tell people about 7.5 Radio. Follow us on social media. All of us have social media accounts. If you have a product or service, get a hold of Liberty News Radio. Advertise with us. That's all we ask. We don't have a donate button. We don't have a Patreon account. We don't have I have a Cash App, but that's for bar tabs, but we'll save it for later. But that's the difference between us and them. You know, we say what we want to say. We back it up with facts.
Yep.
We clown each other like there's no tomorrow. But that's like back in the day when we put the bag on, we would be in the locker room just clowning the hell out of each other. But guess what? That cop that we were clowning, and he calls that 85. We're there, guns a blazing. Anyways, when we come back, we'll finish up with the Daily Wire, which we love to trash. Also, Donald Trump talking about bloodbath, and we're living in V for Vendetta. This is Peter Scoops with Mike Rakebrandt on 75 Radio Network. Take it away.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
Have you ever heard of Loving Liberty Ladies? Well, the Loving Liberty Ladies are here to help you learn our American heritage and the way it affects today's society. The Loving Liberty Ladies also have a discussion guide called Proclaim Liberty. And with this guide, you can start your own group in your hometown. Get yours today on our website at lovingliberty.net. Look for our lesson supplements, too. They're free. To hear all the special offers and to join the fight for freedom and liberty, please go to lovingliberty.net.
You're back, and Scoop is just getting back from posting insults on Twitter. This is still 75 Radio.
And we are back. Scoop Stat with Mike Rakebrandt. Walter is getting over an illness. Anyways, we're bashing our favorite subject to bash. That is Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. Candace Owens was given her walking papers, and, of course, the internet blew up. People were just supporting Candace 110%. And what's funny, Mike, do you know anybody in mainstream conservative media or our independent media that actually like Ben Shapiro?
Not really, no. Most people I know don't really care for him. I mean, they recognize he's a great debater, but beyond that, they don't seem to really pay much attention to him.
Right.
Nobody that I know well, at least somebody that I deal with.
Right. But, I mean, you listen to talk radio, like Handy always talk about Mark Levin and other people on his network, and other people have other talent on their shows that they're probably the same network. Of course, we're never on anybody's network because, well, we don't care because they can't contain us. That's number one. But I never heard anybody, any other talker out there talk about, like, Ben Shapiro. They never say, oh, yeah, Ben Shapiro had this great point, Ben Shapiro this, but they all just trash. Pardon me. Hope I don't get what Walter's getting. They just trash him like no tomorrow, and they should. Because to me, Shapiro's nothing more than like a conservative Woody Allen, very nebbish. I doubt he has any tattoos. I doubt he's been in a gunfight or a fist fight or any type of fight. He's he's the type of guy who always talks a lot of trash, but he's far, far away from the action. That's number one. And number two, here's another question, Mike. Do you know anybody that actually subscribes to the Daily Wire? Because everything they do requires a subscription. They had this hysterical movie called Lady Ballers about transgender athletes. Hysterical. I was able to watch it without subscribing. I'll just leave it at that. But any other big... Candace Owens came out with this movie on Black Lives Matter. I saw that, a different way. But that was by way of subscription. All these important, documentaries, pundits, or whatever, it's all behind a paywall. It's like this... This whole country's going right to hell.
It's all like that.
We saw, right, and that's
during
another
my campaign.
Say again.
Sorry, during my campaign, it was like that. It was like all these endorsements you see, people getting endorsements and stuff from these big figures or people coming out to support them. They're all paid. All these endorsements are paid for. It's all just one big paywall. It's insanity.
So, Mike, you're saying, say Congressman Scoop Stanton is going to come out and endorse Mike Rakebrandt for office. I would get a check from you or your campaign?
Exactly, yeah. A lot of it, yeah, 90% of them. I mean, there are honest people out there that will endorse you because they just believe in your cause. And we met quite a few of the great ones that did that for us when I campaigned, that they're doing it now for Shannon. But, yeah, no, a lot of it is paid. A lot of these endorsements are paid. You pay a certain amount to whatever organization they have or their PAC or whatever it might be, and that's when they'll come out and they'll endorse you and they'll do a fundraiser for you or have you post you on the social media, whatever, kind of get you some name recognition out there. It's paid. It's all paid. It's one big giant scam.
Jesus Christ. And that's what kills me. I was talking about Daily Wire and they got a paywall. Candace Owens is asking for donations. Now you got so-called patriotic Americans going after you who had no money running for office for a shakedown. I mean, Jesus Christ, no wonder.
I funded my own campaign for the most part, me and the volunteers. I'll be blunt with you, and I guess our listeners, me and Lauren, when we left a job because of it, we left the careers behind, we had no paychecks, and we almost bankrupted ourselves doing it, but we believed in it, and we still do, and we don't regret it. We're much better now, but, again, at the time it was very, very hard to do, but we did it because we believe in the country, believe in what we want to leave for our children. So,
right.
But these people are all paid. It's all about getting paid by them. And the RNC was the worst culprit by far under Rona, who's now working for MSNBC. Perfect.
Christ.
Perfect world.
Right. And that's why, Mike, in October, I want you to do a whole month of election racketeering, because it's like we're paying for gangsters. And I'm sorry we're getting a little bit off track, but yeah, it's a gangster government.
That's exactly what it is, man. That's exactly what it is.
Anyways,
it's a cartel. It's one big cartel.
So folks, make sure when you have a choice to either put gasoline in your automobile, keep your lights on, or put food in your kids' mouths, make sure you do give Ben Shapiro his cut for his guy. I mean, the guy doesn't even take a stand. But anyways, that's the difference between us. That's another difference between us.
Yep.
Number one, we're real. Number two, we love each other. Number three, everything we put out is for free. The YouTube clips, all of the Apple downloads, everything on the podcasting side of the house. If you go on our website, 75radio.org, you click on archives, everything is free. There's no paywall whatsoever. And trust me, folks, we could put up a paywall, and it'd really help with production cost to keep me sounding so sweet. But we have a country to save. But we're not going. We're not going to sell your intelligence by shaking you down for a couple of shekels. That's for one thing. That's why nobody has any love for people like Ben Shapiro. The guy's a multimillionaire. He built up a company. God bless him. And everything is behind a paywall. You want to save this country? Well, you got to, enter your credit card for the paywall, either for the content on the internet or the candidate coming to your campaign. Mike, anything else before we close us out?
No, I think you nailed it. You're spot on. But it really is. It's a cartel. It's one big, giant grift. That's what it is. We've seen those scams, all kinds, right, Pete? When you were working a job, you know what I'm talking about. Every kind of scam you can imagine, pigeon drop to, real estate. And this is nothing different. These are, you said it perfectly. It's a government full of gangsters.
Yep, and it's made up of two crews, the Republicans and Democrats. So, anyways, moving on to the next bunch of gangsters. Last Saturday, President Trump said if he's not elected in November, it would be a bloodbath. And the dumpster fire media just absolutely went into overdrive talking about bloodbaths. And it was a quiet weekend in terms of news items. So all weekend long and all Monday, all we heard was about Donald Trump's bloodbath. And Mark Dice has a clip on his channel on YouTube. We've loaded to 75radio.org about all these different media pundits on CNN, MSNBC, the other alphabet networks of people saying bloodbath. But if you watch the clip, because I was watching the speech live, he was talking about the car industry. Because if Biden wins again, China's building plants in Mexico, car plants in Mexico, and they're going to build them in Mexico, ship them across the border, and pay no tariffs. And so whatever's left of the car industry is going to be gone. Because, frankly, these EVs are killing the car industry, and all these other regulations is killing the car industries, and the unions are killing the car industries. So Donald Trump he knows a thing about business and finance. He just said it would be a bloodbath if he's not reelected, and the god-awful dumpster fire media just went into overdrive. They didn't even play the whole speech. They just said bloodbath. That's it. Cut. And they just look like idiots. And that's why nobody is watching these people anymore. That's why alternate media, us, YouTube, Rumble, they're getting more views than MSNBC or CNN. They don't even get 1 million viewers on most days. That's crazy. So, anyways, kudos for Mark Dice for posting the footage of these people saying bloodbath. And just Joe Scarborough, he looked like an idiot. And of course, when the news came out that, he was talking about the car industry, or people realized it's car industry, that clip of Joe Scarborough just trying to eviscerate Donald Trump, looking like an idiot, was scrubbed. But thank God for Mark Dice, because he's able to find it, and it's just embarrassing. And Joe Scarborough is just an embarrassment because he's got talking about the State of the Union address. He said, this is the greatest Joe Biden ever seen. Oh, my God, he's so presidential. He's just that and other thing. Meanwhile, we saw everybody saw the same State of the Union speech. Biden was a bumbling, mumbling, fumbling idiot who has dementia. And I don't know what the hell Joe Scarborough was watching. It wasn't the State of the Union address we were all watching. But anyways, it's no wonder these people are being listened to anymore. And that's why you need to keep your eyes and ears on 75 Radio and other shows. Mike, what say you about the bloodbath?
It's the most ridiculous thing I ever saw. So they take one word from an entire speech to try and turn it around and make him look bad. And all they really did was showcase just how ridiculous they become. You're absolutely right. They're a dumpster fire. And I don't know anybody, even people I know who consider themselves very mainstream and they're not Trumpers or whatever, even they have no use for media anymore, establishment media. They don't watch anymore at all. And that's across the board. Left, right, whatever. They just don't watch anymore because they're like, it's a hot mess. They want you to suspend your belief, right? They want you to think that this guy's some great, savior, Biden. He can't even get up the steps of Air Force One. That's a mess, and everybody knows it across the board.
Right. And we come back, we'll talk about living in the movie V for Vendetta. Also, public schools system failed me again. Stay tuned, everybody. This is 75 Radio on the Liberty News Radio Network.
Pursuing liberty, using the Constitution as our guide. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
USA News News, I'm Laura Winters. Former President Trump taking his social media platform Truth Social public next week, and he stands to make a lot of money. USA's John Schaefer reports.
The social media company founded by former President Trump is set to become publicly traded through a merger. Shareholders of Digital World Acquisition Corporation granted approval on Friday for the merger with Trump Media and Technology Group, the owner of the Truth Social platform. Trump's ownership in the new company valued at around $3 billion. I'm John Schaefer.
Meanwhile, Trump facing a Monday deadline to come up with almost $500 million in order to appeal his civil fraud judgment. New York Attorney General Democrat Letitia James is preparing to seize some of Trump's Westchester County, New York properties, including one of Trump's golf courses. USA's Dave Collins with more.
Trump faces a Monday deadline to pay his $464 million bond in a civil fraud case. Records show that James has formally registered judgments against Trump, the Trump Organization, and his two older sons in Westchester County, which signals Trump National Golf Club and the Seven Springs Estate may be at risk of being seized. Trump's lawyers say they can't find an underwriter willing to take on the entire amount.
Well wishes coming in from around the world as news breaks that Princess Kate being treated for cancer. The British monarch delivering an address Friday about how she and her family are coping and asked the public for time, space, and privacy while she is receiving chemotherapy. The princess, who is only 42 years old, describing in a video recording how she and her family are dealing with the devastating diagnosis.
This, of course, came as a huge shock. And William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family.
And I'm Laura Winters, USA News.
I've got a unique vacation idea for you that's right here in the United States. If you're ready for a vacation that's fun and downright affordable, listen up. It's driving distance for many of you, so no planes, no airline delays, no hassles. It's Branson, Missouri, the entertainment capital of the Midwest. Live music for everyone. Branson has 3 beautiful, enormous lakes, water attractions, live shows, great food, and tons of entertainment. It's a perfect vacation for you and your family, or if you're retired and you want to have a great time. And you can stay in Branson for as low as $99 a night. Please understand, this is not a timeshare offer. It's a real vacation for as little as $99 a night. We've got a free vacation guide we want to send you right now. All you have to do is call for complete details. Get your free Branson, Missouri guide right now by calling this number.
800-399-4215. 800-399-4215. 800-399-4215. That's 800-399-4215.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
The spirit of the American West is alive and well in Range Magazine, the award-winning quarterly devoted to the issues of the American West. Each issue contains informative articles, breathtaking imagery, as well as the culture of cowboy spirit today, and gift ideas, like this year's Buckaroo calendar. Order online from rangemagazine.com. Loving Liberty Network salutes the spirit of the American West at rangemagazine.com.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Wow, you're still listening? Here's more 7-5 Radio.
And we are back, 7-5 Radio with Mike Rakebrandt and Scoop Stanton. Now, during the break, you'd think I would be listening to the news, following up any news articles or stories we're going to talk about tonight. No, I was looking at 7-5 Radio spokesmodel Danila Rodrigues' Instagram account again. Follow her at danila.fitnessmodel at Instagram, and you'll not be disappointed. You can also follow Scoop Stanton on Instagram and be very disappointed but not surprised. Anyways, moving right along. Mike, have you seen the movie V for Vendetta?
I have. It was a great movie.
Yep, it came out in 2005. Earlier this week, I was became ill myself, and I decided to watch it again. And there's a lot of things in that movie from 2005 that I said, oh, my God. First of all, you have the Lion Media. In the movie, the BTN, that's supposed to be the British television network, nothing but propaganda. So I found a clip of Joy Reid talking about Trump and Biden becoming the presumptive nominees for the parties. And Joy Reid was going off, what do you want? You want insane Trump with the shutdowns, the old people saying goodbye on a Zoom call, kids graduating high school with the iPads, all this isolation, all this craziness going on, and so on and so forth. I was like, wait a minute. The media was promoting that. I'm like, what's he taking a foxtrot? And I was like, oh my God. So then moving right along, you had the Lion Media, and then there's another scene where the two chief detective and his partner went to a scene of, I guess, where some people died during the pandemic, and they were going through the whole COVID scenario. Government had a biological weapon. It got out of control, and they used fear to control the people. They didn't fight the pandemic. They used fear to control the people. And politicians became very powerful because they installed fear in the people. And many people became very rich because of a pharmaceutical company that made this cure that was from God Himself. And I was like, oh my God. It's like they predicted 2020. And then you had the speech, the final speech by High Chancellor Adam Sutler, played by John Hurt, who was in the movie 1984, which is amazing. You have John Hurt in 1984 and V for Vendetta, which is like almost like a sequel of 1984. Anyways, you have his very scary speech, and then you have Joe Biden in Philadelphia talking about controlling people and the MAGA Republicans. And you have a very different background, a very gloomy background. You have two Marines in their dress blues standing with their hands folded, and it's just very, very reminiscent of V from Vendetta. And I'm almost to the point where, like, Donald Trump is V. He's the one that the government's trying to control, trying to crush, and all his followers go after his followers and do surveillance on the followers. I'm like, oh my God, this movie is 2020. It's ridiculously how close the movie is to what's been going on in the past like 4 or 5 years. Mike, what say you about V for Vendetta in 2024?
It was absolutely prophetic. Absolutely prophetic, right? Everything kind of lines up, and it's scary. It's scary how much it lines up, but it lines up really well. But then if you look at like Animal Farm, or you look at like 1984 by George Orwell, George Orwell witnessed this communist, Marxist takeover in Spain, and that's what kind of led him to write these books and warn about this. Even though he was considered himself a socialist, he still warned about the dangers of socialism, which is pretty it's actually pretty honest to be completely blunt. But I think Vendetta actually 100%, like it was prophetic. Because if you look at everything, you're absolutely right. Propagandized media, government control over the people, using the fear of the virus to force people to, adhere to these absolutely draconian, policies and procedures. So 100% prophetic. Great movie, just on the entertainment value alone, but absolutely prophetic.
Right. The only difference is that in the movie, it was like a very conservative politician that went through the ranks. But present day, it's you got the you got these Democrats who are pushing LGBTQ on everything and having trainees in high positions in the government, like Admiral Rachel Levine. Mike, you were in the Navy. You saw some stuff. Yep. Admiral Levine. What say you as a former squid of knowing that Richard Levine goes around calling himself Admiral?
I think it's a disgrace to every admiral that ever held the rank before him. That man is mentally ill, and the fact that he's considered some kind of like healthcare expert is even more confusing to me. Like, he's a perfect example of just how far, just how far down the rabbit hole this country's gone as far as its leadership and its government bureaucracy and everything. Like, it's completely and totally gone into crazy world. It really has. You have this man running around in a dress, calling himself a woman, and he's supposed to be our lead expert medical person who's going to talk about mental health and all these other medical problems. Like, really? Really, this is where we're at now as a country? Okay. It really makes you wonder.
Think about it. We went from, Admiral Forrestal, John Paul Jones, Chester Nimitz, George Morrison, Mike Borda, to Richard Levine.
Richard Levine. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, this guy, calling him an admiral, this is a guy who never fought a battle in his life, right? Like Miley, there's another one that rose to this super high-low position. He's chairman of the Joint Chiefs and all this, and he's making phone calls to China to assure them. Well, come on, man. The guy committed treason, high treason. You're communicating, with the enemy. There's a charge, UCMD charge in the military for that, for showing cowardice before the enemy. Why was this man not brought up on charges? This country really, really needs to wake the hell up, because it's not going to end well. It's just not. I've seen mass graves. I've seen the results of what happens when people finally just, give up and let it be taken. It's not going to be pretty. And these people who think that they're going to be able to coexist and just get along, you're going to see October 7th on a scale that people can't even imagine. And that's what's coming. That's really what's coming. People don't wake the hell up.
Right. You're Mike, you're absolutely right. We just went off on a tear here. But you got China buying all this farmland, buying all this land near military installations. You have all these people coming from all four corners of the globe. We don't know who they are. All military-age males. Yep. They're trucking in fentanyl by the literally by the truckload. 53-foot tractor trailers, nothing but fentanyl coming in, and we're just sitting on our ass saying, "Oh, how great Rich Levine is a chief public health officer." And speaking of war hero, look at Alexander Vindman. The guy has a combat infantry badge on his chest. You look at him and you look at other people who actually earned that combat infantry badge, and you're like, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What a piece of garbage he is too.
Vindman, I guarantee you, is not even within 100 miles of a shot being fired in anger. I mean, I guarantee you, not even within 100 miles of it. I had my hair parted by a bullet once, that ribbon in the Marine Corps, they give you the combat action ribbon, Mine came at a very, very high price, and guys like that drive me crazy because, again, guy, sit down, sit down. You don't know what it's like to fire your gun in anger or to be fired upon, sit down. You're not an expert on anything. He's a so-called Ukrainian expert. Listen, Ukraine is nothing more than a proxy government pushed up by the intelligence community here and uses a money laundering scheme by both of our gangster cartels and government. It's a disgrace. That man should be in prison along with quite a few other people.
Right. Hey, Mike, a couple months ago, Walter and I theorized that this thing about what they do with the fuzzy hair, Bankman-Fried, it turns out we have the same barber. What's your take on the idea that we send all the billions of dollars to Ukraine and they turn around and launder it back to the politicians here at home?
It's true. It was proven actually quite a while back when I forget who had it up, maybe Laura Loomer, but there was a lot of money moving back to consultants back to the U.S.
Jesus. All right, stay tuned, everybody. We're just getting warmed up. Holy crap.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
This is 7.5 Radio with Walter Yuku. I mean, Walter Yurkow. I mean, Walter Kiwi. Here's Walton Scoop.
Unfortunately, Walter is out sick tonight. Hopefully he will return next week. And you know what? The last segment that proves the difference between us and the Daily Wire and Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and all these other people just pushing their products and pushing their paywalls. You know, you got this for free. And you're going to get this for free next week also. So, anyways, finally got some okay news. Some good news and bad news. Last week, I got a call from my ex-wife about one of my kids. Last Friday, about 12:50 in the afternoon, one of my kids is walking from one of the trailers on the school property to the school building because there's so many kids that they don't have enough space in the school, so they have to rent these trailers from General Electric. So some lady who had no business to be in the school property, she wasn't a teacher, staffer, parent, volunteer, any of that, walked up to my son, asked for a high five. Now my son, God bless him, this shows his great parenting comes in, told the lady no, and went inside the school and reported it. And it took 40 minutes for the school to contact the local police. And did they pick up the phone, dial 911? No. They used the non-emergency line. So then about another 40 minutes, my wife, or ex-wife, missed a phone call from the school. So finally she got in touch with somebody and said, oh, this lady who's not affiliated with the school came up to my son. The police were called. Report was made. My son was not harmed. I got on the phone. I spoke to the assistant principal, and later, earlier this week, I spoke to the principal, and I got into their backside. I said, it took you 40 minutes to contact the police, and you used the non-emergency line? And they're like, oh, yeah. I was like, why? Well, it's part of our policy procedures, our SOPs, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I don't want to hear that. 40 minutes. One of your kids could have gone missing, could have been abducted. How many cameras in the school? One. Great. Any school resource officers? No. Why not? Because they're for the junior high school and the high schools. So the school resources officers, they looking after the kids, or they do the whole grounds? Well, I don't know. So, what, is there a police officer assigned to the school? No. What in the name of hell? So, anyways, the principal, who's in way over his head, did not know he was messing with one Peter Scoop Stanton, got an earful. I said, I want the report number from the police department. I need to know when you're going to talk to your teachers and your staff about when you're going to revamp your security procedures, because Section 22.1 of the Code of Virginia says you need to revamp, or correction, need to have school safety procedures in place, and authorities must be contacted within a reasonable amount of time. Mike, is 40 minutes between the time of incident and contact the police, is that reasonable?
That's extremely unreasonable, especially when you're talking about children in schools. We've all seen over the last, decade or so, how many attacks on schools have there been by these lunatics. You know, in 40 minutes, you can do extreme amounts of carnage in 40 minutes.
Right.
You know, we protect our banks and our money, but we don't protect our children in schools. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. You know, there should be armed school resource officers at every single school. There should be a very strong, clear, message sent that they are hardened targets. They are not, it's not going to happen. You're not getting in here to get your notoriety. Not here, not today. Instead you get the non-answer from that bureaucrat.
Right, and you know what? The principal, must be his first time teaching. I've dealt with the school staff before in previous years with my other kids, and this guy was in over his head. I think he's part of the DIE program or whatever, the DIE program, good job, where good people or good ideas go to die. He was way over his head. Yeah. So that's the only reason, because to me, he does not have the wherewithal to be a principal of a school. But that's just my personal opinion. But the good thing now is that he has my undivided attention. Whenever I have an issue with the school, guess what? I'm calling him directly, because he messed up, and he messed up, and the school knows that they messed up. Now, I'm not going to give the name of the school or the district, because I haven't decided what other legal means I have to pursue. And I'm unlike too many parents. I'm very involved in my kids' lives, especially the schoolwork. And I even applied for and interviewed for a job in a private school system. And the first question the guy asked me is like, Mr. Stanton, why do we want to come work at the school? I said, to pull my kids out of public schools and get them in a private school I can afford. Because unfortunately, Cal Thomas, when he was a guest on the show, he said, get your kids out of public schools. And those words still haunt me today, because unfortunately, there's such a demand for private schools in this area, and people have the money to send their kids to schools, that the schools are all booked up. They're filled till next year. So hopefully, if a kid moves away or parents get divorced or whatnot, I can get my kids in. But then if I do get my kids in, I make too much money for financial aid. So it's a very, very tough situation. Mike, I know you got some littler ones. What's your take on the school system doing nothing while these people, harass my kids?
I would have lost my mind. I'm not going to lie. I would have been at the school screaming at somebody. I really would have lost my mind. Schools are a mess. The public education system in this country is completely broken. The only way you're fixing that problem, really, the only way you're fixing it is, let the money follow the child. School choice. That's it. That's the only way forward to fix that school system. Because until you do that, the teachers' unions and all the special interests or whatever, they're all going to push their nonsense and play their games, and we're going to be watching the kids pay the price for it, both in the amount of education they're losing and in the amount of safety that is just not there. You know, so we're going to keep seeing these things happen until we start actually moving in a different direction with the schools. You know, school choice, if that money's following that child, guess what? You don't like the school, you move the kid. They're going to have to listen. They're going to have to listen to parents, and that's what needs to happen. That's the only way it gets better. That's the only way to be able to fix any of this. You know, you can end the drag queens, you know, trying to sexualize our children in elementary schools and all the other crap that goes on very quickly with school choice. You know, so quite honestly, if we're talking schools, that's my answer. It's school choice. Put the money follow the child, put the power back in the parents' hands where it belongs, and get things back on track. You know, but if it had been me and my son in a school like that, I would have lost my mind too. Pete, I really, you know, I agree with you 100%, man. You probably did it a lot better than I would have. It would have been ugly. There'd have been a lot of screaming.
But see, here's the thing, Mike. As mad as I was, if I'm at the end of a telephone, somebody screaming at me, I said, "Sir, ma'am, you know, we're not getting anywhere. Goodbye." Click. So I made sure I wasn't yelling and screaming. Using
I get it.
The seven dirty words, but I was just as mad. But I wanted to get the facts before I went off, because too many people they go on Twitter or whatever, just shoot off the mouth about stuff they don't know, or call somebody complain they don't know nothing, and they look like idiots. And this principal knew I had my facts together, and that's why I raked him across the coals. But again, the good thing is that he knows, you know, he's in my back pocket. He knows he's my female dog, if you know what I mean. But you're absolutely right in terms of school choice, and God bless Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, because he's been fighting tooth and nail to get get school choice. But of course, as the teacher unions and the school boards, they don't want it, because they're all in cahoots too. You got a labor union and management; they're in cahoots, because I mean, what kind of ridiculousness is that? Imagine how good our job would be if the DEA, the BBA, and the brass from Police Plaza work together. It'd be a dream job. Guys would be working 40 years before they left the job. But
sure.
But see, here's the thing: the teachers union and the school board knows that they suck, and that people want to get their kids out of school. But if they put out a superior product, say like the I'm trying to think, the Mayberry school system was great. The public schools were awesome. People would keep their kids in Mayberry public schools. But if Mayberry public schools suck, they got LGBTQ flags flying. They got drag shows. Kids can't read. Schools are dangerous. Guess what? Parents will take that voucher from the tax money that they contribute for the school systems and go to a private school. And then you would get more schools coming into that neighborhood, that district coming up, because it's a financial incentive. Now, if Pete Mike's private schools stink, guess what? We go out of business, and we get a job with as a teacher in the public school system. But anyways, Mike, you got anything else before we close? It's been a hell of a show.
It's been awesome. Thank you so much. I just want to remind everybody, if you're in New York 2nd District, check out StevensForCongress.com. Janet can definitely use your help. Fight for all of us. And thanks again, Pete.
Thank you very much. For Mike Rakebrandt, this is Peter Scoop Stanton. Remind you, you can make a difference. Go out and make it, and do not comply. See you next week.
James Edwards for 7-5 Radio. For those who work the streets and the jails, thanks for keeping us safe. So long, everybody.